here with a few people that have been in 4-H in the past, and I'm going to ask them a few questions. We have Miss Betsy West, Esther Sherman, and Connie Hicks. And I'm going to ask them all a few questions. Miss Betsy, how old were you when you were in 4-H?
I was an adult. My children were actually the ones that were in 4-H.
Okay.
Participants, I was the leader of the group.
Okay.
So I was probably in my 30s.
Did you enjoy your experience as a leader?
Oh, I loved it. I had been a Girl Scout,
Mm-hmm.
so I kind of had an idea of what we should be doing, and loved scouting. So I was in a rural area where 4-H was a big thing,
Mm-hmm.
and so I volunteered to help with the leadership. Did you have another question? Okay.
That's all. Thank you. Miss Esther, when were you in 4-H?
I'll tell you, my daddy was a county farm agent and very, very active in 4-H clubs. I wish I could remember exactly how old I was, but I remember the only thing I really remember was going to camp. I loved to go to 4-H camp, and it was in Kentucky. And the best thing I can remember is taking my metal plate. I don't know what kind of plate it was, a metal plate, and a cup. And that's what I had to take. I don't know whether they had sleeping bags. I don't even remember how long the camp was. How long is camp usually?
About a week.
Well, I think it was about a week. I wish I could tell more about it because it's been so long ago. But Daddy was so involved in 4-H clubs and thought it was the thing.
It still is.
I know it is. And I wish I could help you more. I kind of hesitate to even come and share what little I had.
That's okay. Miss Hicks, how old were you when you were 4-H?
I'm trying to remember if I was 11. I'm sure I was no more than 11. I was in the 6th grade. I recall that vividly. And Miss Gainey was the county home extension agent who came to my school, which was 71st Township School outside Fayetteville. Now, 71st is a big school now, but it was a very small school then. And this was the nicest thing that I think had ever happened to me. We're talking the depths of the Depression. I'm 86, so we're talking 76 years ago when times were hard and children didn't have very many diversions. I read a lot and went to school and did chores when I got home, but Miss Gainey, the home extension agent, was kind of a hero of mine. I just thought she was wonderful because she taught me how to make a slip, a cotton slip. Now this was before nylon, before stretchy stuff. You used cotton muslin for your sewing, and the sewing that she taught me was absolutely, it opened up a world for me because clothes were hard to come by. I wore hand-me-downs mostly from my older sister, but I was able to use feed sacks after Miss Gainey showed me some things. My first thing I ever made was an apron, and then I made a slip, and it fitted me, and I was so proud of my slip. I even hand-whipped lace on the bottom of my slip, and that was, I really prized that. And from that started a lifelong love of sewing. But I had one real setback after I must have been in at least the 8th or 9th grade when I entered a county 4-H club competition in sewing, and I made a dress, and I was so proud of that dress. It was yellow and it had a ruffled neck, and I just thought it was so pretty. It was a sort of a peasant pattern. Well, I just knew I was going to win a prize with that pretty dress. And they had blue ribbons and white ribbons and red ribbons, and I got the red ribbon. I was secretly very crestfallen, and I looked at the work that the other girls who won had gotten, and I realized that what they had done was to either French fell or flat fell all their seams. Now, I don't know whether you have a clue as to what French felled seams and flat felled seams are, but mine were raw seams, and that was no-no, and I didn't know it until then. But I learned a lot. I also went to 4-H camp, and it was at White Lake. I don't know whether you've ever heard of White Lake or not, but it's a large lake down not far from Elizabethtown, North Carolina. And I had a week down there, and the FFA, the Future Farmers of America, were across the lake from us, and I remember they would canoe over in the evenings, and we would have sing-alongs together. And that I met a boy from Granite Falls, and it was my first sort of secret crush. So I have a lot of wonderful memories of 4-H Club.
That's wonderful. What impact did 4-H have on your life overall?
Well, I think the single most important impact it had was the love of sewing that she and Miss Gainey introduced me to. But I remember head, heart, hands, and health. Is that still your motto? And do you know, I think that helped to shape my outlook on the world and my character. So 4-H had a really important impact.
Still has. And thank you. That's all for now. And Miss Betsy West, what was your favorite activity for you to do with you and your kids in 4-H?
To go on trips to different places. Sometimes the places were around Greenville, and sometimes they were away, and some of the other parents in the neighborhood. It was out in the Eastern Pines neighborhood, if you know where that is here in Greenville, but it was out in the Simpson area, out there in the country. So these students really enjoyed going on trips, and we tried to go to a lot of places around Greenville, and then we would plan, and some of the parents would help me and drive, and we would take trips to other places away from Greenville, for instance, down to the river in Washington to spend the day and do some things down there. And at the time, I had an aunt who had a place right on the river, so we could go down there and have a place to dress and have fun in the water, and yet have all the facilities that we needed to get cleaned up to get back to Greenville.
What was your favorite memory as a 4-H leader?
Probably how much it meant to my daughter, Leanne West. She thoroughly enjoyed the activities of 4-H, and it just excited her so much, planning to go on a trip with the 4-H members, and I would say it has affected her life completely, the work that she did and things that she learned in 4-H, particularly sewing. When you were talking about sewing, she loved to sew and picked up that from the 4-H group.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all.
There meant something to us. Miss Gainey taught me how to miter corners in making a bed. In the hospital, mitered corners, and that's been something that has been very important to me all my life, is to know how to make a bed properly. That was one of the first things I taught my daughter, who didn't have the advantage of 4-H club, because they didn't have 4-H in her school. How to make a bed properly.